This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsterette.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsterette.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsterette.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsterette.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsterette.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
The effects of warm temps on previously cold beer, calculating for rice holes, and what happens if I underpitch or overpitch my yeast. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 392. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friend, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. Actually, better, email Joshua at homebrewhappyhour.com. But even better, call our hotline, 325-305-6107. And when I use your voicemail feedback or preferably a question on a future episode, you'll get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. And we're hurting. We need some voicemails. I deleted some on accident, and then we have some. Anyway, I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing. Joining me, as always, is the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com. Right over there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the goofball. You have to be at YouTube to see this. The Chief Keg Washer of Keg Connection.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
I hate you sometimes, man. Do you see this crap, James? Oh, I love it. Good Lord. You are so conniving, too, because you didn't have that shirt on when we started.
No, did I not? I didn't have this. Hold on, let me move these cultures out of the way. Yeah, isn't that nice? Here, let me get rid of my background. It's kind of in the way, isn't it? Let's see.
No, your big red body is in the way. That's what's.
Dadgummit, I forgot how to take the background off again. I hate
Holy moly, dude! You did you get me a Fruit shirt? I'll pay you for one, because you failed. You did not get me a Browery Kurtzer Kolsch glass. I know you're busy. I won't throw you under the bus too much. Whatever. Blah blah blah. I would love a Fruit shirt.
Would you really?
I would love a Fruit shirt. Yeah, you have to go back over there.
Well, this is the dome behind me in Cologne.
Yeah, right across the street from you. We have already established that.
Yeah, it's about a half a mile away. But anyway,
I did. Todd was showing me, or when we hopped on before we started recording, I said something about like, oh yeah, right across the street, and you're like, why do you keep saying that? It's not that close. But half a mile is like across the street. I'm talking colloquially, Todd. It's half a mile is nothing. I don't.
Sure wish I could get that background off now. I totally forgot.
I think you have to go to video settings and none on background, on virtual backgrounds. Just hit none. Mm-hmm. Or do whatever you want. I couldn't care less.
Yeah, I got it now.
We entertain hundreds on YouTube, so not a lot of people are saying it. And the audio only listeners, the vast majority of people who consume this show don't care because they don't look at you, they can't see it. But anyway, welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. Yeah. I mean, I assume
that's depressing.
Yeah, right. Our how-to videos do great though, so our channel's fine. Our channel's growing. We're like at almost 7,000 subscribers now, so. We are on the youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. We have, again, download numbers and all that. I won't go on a tangent for our audio only. I have no idea I mean, we have analytics that tell us, oh, this is how many things download each week, blah, 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 blah. But again, like that could be my mom buying Chinese bots to make me feel better. I have no idea. The internet's not real. Anyways, we do have a great show lined up. Oh, go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
I gotta show you all these. So this company in England decided to do a Kolsch, but they can't call it a Kolsch unless they brewed in Cologne. So they brewed it with Früh.
I've seen that BrewDog. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so they actually came to Cologne and brewed brewed it in their brewery, but it's a little bit different. It's got about 5.2%, a little bit different. I haven't tried it yet. And then here's another. I've never seen this one before. Kind of a new one.
It's a little washed out on the screen. I see like the mash paddle, and
it's. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. There's no way I could pronounce it. It is so. Here, let me try it.
Oh, there we go. Schrecken Sang. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been working on my German.
To try those two, and then James, your favorite.
Hey,
cool.
Peters.
Yeah. So I got a Peters glass to drink it out of, so we're ready to go, man.
Yeah, you had no. Pardon me. I don't think you have a Peters glass at home, do you?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I do too. I do, and I actually have one because James, I had you buy me one the last time you were in Cologne with Todd because I broke the one that I had bought originally. It broke in transit, actually. There's
a Dome glass that James could tell you the story about Dome. He probably doesn't want to, though. Anyway.
It's Dome where the lady tried to get with you? Was that the place?
Oh, yeah.
yeah. It's not some older Fräulein like yours truly here. It was a more deranged person probably. But anyway, we have a jam-packed show. Like I kind of mentioned at the top, friends that are listening or watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. We would love for some more feedback or preferably questions to our voicemail hotline. I'm getting low on them. But also the ones that have been coming in have been for, let me put it up on the screen. Boom! The Stump Horst Challenge is in 1 week. So I'm coveting your voicemails for general questions, obviously, to use on future episodes. But next week, I think I've got 2 specifically for Horst. I've gotten a crap ton of text messages and probably maybe a dozen emails for the Stump Horst Challenge. I know y'all don't like the sound of y'all's own voices, but come on, send me a voicemail to 325-305-6107. And if your question, even if you're just looking for technical advice, if whatever you submit stumps Horst in the slightest, you're not going to get a $25 gift card to Cat Connection. You're going to get a $50 gift card if you stump them. But if I use your question, you still get the $25 gift card. It's a win, win, win for everyone. I talked to Horst this morning. He is extremely excited about next week's episode. We're doing it, like I said, in a week. So that'll be a lot of fun. You can always email me, joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com. But again, 325-305-6107 to leave your voicemail, or you can text that hotline. But leave your voicemail. Don't be scared. Get yourself a $50 gift card if you can stump the man. Let me put it back on the screen. Boom! Look at that handsome. Look at that handsome face.
That's pretty good. So
Oh, yeah. You're having a tasting while I'm trying to run an episode.
Huh?
Let me get through this small talk before you start drinking everything. Also, July's kit, if you're a member of the patreon.com/homebrew happy hour chub club, the delicious Summer Nights Grapefruit Pale Ale. It's not quite last call, but recipes are going out the last week of the month like they always do. It's a fantastic kit. Todd brewed it. We haven't actually offered it to the chub club since May of 2022. I looked it up. So it's been a while since the club has brewed it. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. We had 2 people sign up at the $50 tier just the last couple days, and they both told me when I reached out to them about their premium welcome pack and all that stuff we send out to brand new members at those tiers, they're like, I specifically signed to get this kit. It looks delicious, blah, 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 blah. Which I should probably do more time telling people, when y'all sign up, man, it is worth your butt. You get shirts, you get the Kolsch stains, you get a lot of stuff sent out to you with that first one. We still have tote bags, a lot of good stuff in your premium welcome pack. So you can go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, join a recipe receiving tier, and get this shipped out to you the last week of the month. Thank you to our sponsors, Muntons Malt, Hops Direct, and of course, Imperial Yeast, for always supporting us in everything we do, which is my segue to say the other thing they support us is the Alt-Pokal Altbier World Championships 2024 coming up. Registration is open right now. Alt-Pokal.com. If that redirect link is slow for you, just go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on Alt-Pokal in the navigation menu up top. You'll get the registration link and all the information is there, the rules, everything, the sign up stuff. I'm a little behind on sending out invoices to people who signed up, but don't worry, guys. There's tons of time. It doesn't start till October 24th. All the rules, all the regulations are there at Alt-Pokal.com. Altbier World Championships 2024. Guys, this is the time. It's the best time to be alive because we're having people about to send us a bunch of alt beer. Can't complain. Which Todd is in the land. Well, right now you're in the land of Kolsch. You were in
I actually had alt last night with dinner, and I have to tell you, I went that first day because I got there and had to try to stay awake so I wouldn't get too bad a jet lag, which hasn't worked. And I basically tried, like 4 or 5 of the breweries, had one beer, and I was like, I'm not going to get anything because I'll go back. We were so busy, I never went back to any breweries the rest of the trip. Yeah,
I know, because you're not getting me that alt glass. Yeah. I know.
Sometimes you have to work.
Sounds terrible. And then one last piece of small talk before I get into the show. Speaking of that recipe of the month, the Grapefruit Pale Ale, my pop and I tomorrow, July 19th, or whenever you're listening to this, this is happening on July 19th, Friday, July 19th at 10 a.m. Central. We're live streaming Brew Day live at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. We're going to be brewing that delicious Summer Nights Grapefruit Pale Ale. Come join the fun, join the live stream. You can, I'll even let you submit your questions to Horst there, and I'll bank them if you got them. I mean, I'd prefer you to leave a voicemail, but we always have a good crew when I preemptively announce that we're doing a Brew Day live. So here's your heads up. I think we announced it last week too. My dad and I have a real good time with these, so we hope you can join us again at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. My friends, we do have, like I said, a jam-packed show. Most of it is text messages and emails, including this first little bit.
It's time for listener feedback.
I think this might be the first text-based listener feedback I've taken that's not a voicemail, but it's okay. It's our buddy Preston from San Antonio, and he actually emailed me. He said, hey, Josh, you mentioned visiting San Antonio frequently. You really need to visit Künstler Brewing the next time you're in town. It's in the King William area. Very family-friendly spot. I think you will love their Kolsch. Also, shout out to Brew City Homebrew Supply here in San Antonio. They have a great selection of ingredients, and they are super helpful. All right, enough from me. You guys make a great podcast every week, and I'm happy to be in the Trub Club now. Prost. First off, it's Trub. Let's be real here. But secondly, we need to do a day trip. I know, James, it's not convenient for you where y'all are at. Todd comes to San Antonio sometimes. You were actually just in San Antonio, boss man. You were.
I was in San Antonio just a few days ago.
Yeah, in hindsight, I should have said, hey, we should go to Künstler. It's a German bar or German type brewery. I mean, they also have sours there, so it's not like they're really super strict on being. Well, I say that you can be in the Reinheitsgebot and still stick to the purity laws, or can you not, James? I actually don't know.
Yeah, as long as you stick to the barley, yeast, hops, and water.
Okay,
that's pretty much all you can use.
Okay, so you could, you could, because the yeast could be that Brettanomyces or whatever, and you wouldn't like fruited sours would be outside of it.
Well, anything outside of barley, hops,
of any any point of the gotcha.
Any point of the brewing process, it's not allowed.
Yeah. Okay. So then, but they do have like
Bolden.
For Bowden, they do.
Yep.
I did look at their menu. They do have a Kolsch and they do have a Pilsner. So that would be fun to go down there and try it out. And yeah, we are in San Antonio a lot. Maybe I could convince my wife, look, we'll go to the zoo and then I'll day drink after the zoo trip or something. But anyways, thank you, Preston, so much for submitting that. Reminder, guys, when you submit feedback, textually like that, whether an email or to 325-305-6107, you get yourself a $15 gift card to catconnection.com. But hear me out. Even better. You want more money? I'm going to give it to you because you're going to call the hotline 325-305-6107. Leave us a voicemail. When I use that on a future episode, get yourself a $25 gift card to Cat Connection. Like our first question of the show, it is a voicemail. Our buddy Logan from Waco.
Hey gang, this is Logan here in Waco, not too far from y'all. Had an incident where I put my bottle of Kolsch, my first batch of Kolsch, got done bottle priming. I was all happy, put it in the fridge. And apparently when I did, the box was sticking far enough out that it didn't allow it to shut all the way. And it's my garage fridge, so it got pretty warm here in Waco. A bottle of biscuits, or not bottle, a can of biscuits kind of popped. So it tells me it got fairly warm in there. What is the shelf life and how shelf stable is homebrew beer that's not pasteurized in a temperature like that? Is it safe? Do I go ahead and just chunk out that first batch? Also, I had like 6 bottles of my first ever brew left in there, so that's kind of sad. I guess, how stable is it? Do I just scrap it now? Thanks. Keep up the good work. Can't wait to use my floated that just came in. I'll be using that in the Firmzilla on Thursday. Thank y'all.
I will say, too, the Floated, one of my favorite products of the year. We have a ton of them in stock again at catconnection.com. You can use promo code HHH, get yourself 5% off your order. Logan, thank you so much for submitting the question. James, I'm going to throw it to you first. Let me preface. Let me preface this first. I kind of misinterpreted when I did the title. I'm not completely off, but I'm hearing his voicemail, not just reading it. The bottled beer was never cold. It was whatever fermentation temps were, I'm assuming, or okay, Todd, I'll throw it to you first. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I know. It's fine. It won't hurt anything at all.
Okay. Well, so
beer doesn't go bad. Only thing that could be bad would be the taste. So the beer itself's not going to make you sick, but when it gets warm like that, it could affect the taste.
To
be fair, I've been drinking Kolsch all day. Take that with a grain of salt.
Let me throw a couple scenarios at you, Todd. One, do you suspect when it came time for him to bottle that the beer that he was bottling was room temp or cold before he stuck it in the fridge?
When he bottled it?
Yeah,
it came out of his fermenter, I'm sure.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what setup he has, but for most people that bottle, they generally are using a bucket or something, so it's just coming off of his fermenter, so it would have been room temperature. That's
what I suspect too. And so where I'm going with that scenario is it better, in air quotes for audio only listeners, is it better that your room temperature beer were to get hot and then you try to cool it back down? Or is it better for the beer to have been cold for a while, then warmed up, and then try to cool it back down? If that question makes sense.
I don't really think it would matter.
Okay, it would. Okay, it doesn't matter because the beer, the effects on the beer, fermentation effects and all that's already been done. Like, it's not like you're saying the taste could go bad. Well, what would cause the taste to go bad, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I mean, did he say, I couldn't hear very well, but did he say how long it was?
He
should be. I think he's fine. I would I mean, listen, drink the beer, and it's either going to be good or bad. If it's really bad, then pour it out. If it tastes really bad and you don't want to drink it, then don't drink it. If it's good, then drink it. It'll be fine.
James, though, I thought it was you, maybe it was Todd. I thought it was you that did have a catastrophic failure with your keezer at one point where everything got warm. That wasn't you? But even hypothetically, a keg of beer, like a bottle that goes warm, would you're going to follow the same rule of thumb Todd is proposing here?
Yeah, I think that'd be just fine. I wouldn't have a problem chilling it down and trying it.
Go ahead, Todd.
James and I drank beer, or at least had a sip of it, in an install that we did, and I think the keg had been in there for a year in a hot building.
Yep.
What on earth made y'all try that?
It was pasteurized, but
yeah.
It was still it had been warm a long time.
And what made y'all just thought, hey, we'll see what this tastes like? This is not.
It was free. It was basically free beer.
Yeah, you think? I did that before too. At the gym I train at, this was maybe 2018, 2017. I didn't actually do it, but a guy at the gym who trained there found a bottle of Corona out in the front yard. And they're clear glasses, right? And he brought it in, and I dared him to drink it. And this is totally different because the Corona notoriously, when it's exposed to UV, I guess any beer, but they have clear bottles, so it skunkified it. And so he was like, "Oh, look, someone left this in there. You want to share it?" I was like, "You drink that, I dare you." Pops it open, takes a sip, almost puked everywhere.
Yeah.
That also, I guess you're saying that beer was pasteurized. It wouldn't make you sick. What your point is, it just might taste bad and you wouldn't want it anymore, but it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's not pasteurized, if it would matter. I don't think it would matter. It's just not it's not as gonna be as stable, but I don't think it would, if it's been sealed the whole time, I don't think it would, like, you could get sick and like drink it and then get poisoned and die. Or get really sick, yeah.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
We could try it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to drink that beer that's like 30 years old.
That's right.
We'll know after you do that for sure.
You're right. You're right. It's going to be on my tombstone. Oh, it does kill you.
I have to throw this in because I'm finishing it, but this is, it's pretty hoppy. Like, I'm surprised. It's definitely on the very, very dry, a little bit hoppy end, and it says since 1442 Kolsch.
You need to send me. Take that's an aged beer. Oh my God, no.
It's fine because I'm drinking a beer from 1442.
You need to take a picture with your phone of the bottle and send it to me so I can put it on the screen because the webcam is just so washed out. I can't see it.
Yeah, I know.
But take a picture with it, send it to me. I'll put it on the screen in post-production editing. I hate editing, but I'll do it for the sake of the show. James, in just a very broad kind of view of this question, because we do get it a lot, is there a rule of thumb for you for the shelf life of a properly temperature-controlled beer? Would you have a problem? And I know it might depend on style, and that might be in your answer. Do you have a problem drinking a 5-year-old Kolsch or a 1-year-old IPA, or is there a rule of thumb you follow? I know everyone here doesn't have the problem of not finishing beer, but is there a rule of thumb, like with yeast pouches or all that, where it's like, after it gets to this point, I'm not going to try it anymore?
No, I mean, just like anything else, you just take a little taste and see what it's like before throwing it out. It's probably not going to be good, but I mean, I would always try it before I would resign it to the trash bin.
And like you said, or like Todd said, I guess with the knowledge of it's not likely to make you sick, you got nothing to lose by trying it. And worst case, if it's bad, you dump it. Yeah. No, and it is a sad time when you have to dump beer, but my dad and I have yet to have the fridge failure. I thought it was you. Maybe Todd, did you ever have a catastrophic keezer failure where the beer was warmer than?
I've frozen the beer before.
Okay.
Maybe you're thinking of that.
I might be. And I do it
solid.
Well, when I do
I hate to say this, but I haven't done it just once either.
Is that an Inkbird failure? Well, I don't remember what caused it.
Now, what happened was, I've heard a lot of people have done this. You have that probe with an ink bird. Well, I was fiddling with stuff and moving some wire, and I actually knocked the probe out of the keezer. So the probe said that it was 75 degrees, and it tried to cool it.
Oh,
and it's a freezer, so it froze it.
Oh, no. Okay, that makes much more sense. Because at one point, I think you were throwing Inkbird under the bus, and I was like, yeah, let's throw him under the bus. I'm loyal. I'm quick to, like Anton Parr, they're on our shit list too. Just whoever, like you broke their product and we're boycotting them. But
absolutely. It's their fault.
It's their fault. How do they not make it Todd proof?
You're familiar with that, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And also it not being my fault. I can relate to whatever happens and not my fault. But yeah, Logan, here's what I like they said, try it. Worst case scenario, it's terrible. Live and learn. Close that fridge door. Thank you so much for submitting that question. Reminder, friends, when you leave a voicemail to 325-305-6107 and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Alternatively, text that same number or email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com and still get yourself a $15 gift card, which I think is pretty good. Like our second question, it is a text message. Our buddy Alex from the Rio Grande Valley, and he wrote, my name is Alex. I live in the RGV near SPI, that's Rio Grande Valley, and South Padre Island, and just started brewing all grain on a Robo Brew from Amazon. It has a pump, but it seems to get stuck a lot during mash. If I use rice holes to help with that, do I count the holes in the grain build? Like, would I need to lower the amount of grains so the rice holes fit? I don't always push this Robo Brew to the mats. If I use rice holes in some of my kits, I think it might be too much and wouldn't fit in the system. James, calculating rice holes. First off, rice holes aren't a common part of your brew days, or are they now? I forget.
No. With mainly the beers that I brew, I don't have enough. Where that would come into play if you had a lot of wheat or you had a lot of,
wheat is the one for sure.
The other grain that you brewed more with it than I have. Anything that doesn't have a husk or wheat's got lots of protein in it too, because it can be prone to glomming up and kind of sticking the mash or stuck sparge or we do a recirculating mash on our system. So as that kind of gloms together in the grain bed, it doesn't promote good draining through the false bottom because it just stops it all up like a drain pipe. And so the rice hulls give little gaps for the water or the wort to flow through the grain bed. And that's the whole purpose of the rice hull. So you've got to accommodate for it because it will take up space. It'll also absorb a little water too. And that's why you probably need to get onto, a brewing calculator and always include that because it can affect the way that if you're doing recirculation mash like we are, it can really make a big difference.
I was going to say, I believe Brewer's Friend. I've been using as my pop and It does, right? Okay. As my pop and I use the Grainfather, I've been using just its built-in one more. And so it's been a while. I put in the recipes to Brewer's Friend, but on Brew Day, I'm using Grainfather. And it has a section on it, like I believe Brewer's Friends do, where for non-fermentable additions, where you would put it in, and then it will do the whole recalculating of, okay, here's how much water you're going to need, or here, if for whatever numbers you're trying to hit, it recalculates everything when you add anything that is going to be in that kettle. So, and it is, the next question that I've gotten a lot, and I'll just tack it on to here. Sorry for anyone who submitted this part of the question, and I'm taking away a gift card from you. But people have asked me before, is it a 1-for-1 like grain? And it's like, yeah, a pound of rice hulls is a pound. Like, you know what I mean? It's the same weight. I don't know about literal volume, but yes, you're treating it as a pound of something you're putting in the kettle because it is a pound of something. You don't have to do some weird formula of like, well, the equivalent of a pound of rice hulls is 3/4 of. No, just treat it like it is part of your grain bill and include that in the beginning. And I know there's different rules. I know Jonathan Marut had, he'll probably comment at YouTube or he'll text me more realistically. He has some like, I use quarter pound for every 5 pounds of my builder. I'm making that up, but he has some kind of thing. My dad and I used a pound and a, was it an 18 pound grain bill, or it was like 20? It was either way, it was the Mosaic Smash, and we just threw a pound in there and it worked perfectly. It was great. It didn't have any issues with stuck mash. The pump that we've had, I've told you about that kind of vacuum issue we've had where it could have been from stuff getting in there and causing a little delay or a little air bubble, and then it would do this kind of compensating thing. When we used rice hulls, it didn't do that at all, which for the grapefruit pale ale that we're doing, we're certainly going to be using rice hulls because, like James said, it has white wheat in it. And that stuff, gelatin, is that the right? I mean, what the consistency, like you said, it's just this nasty clump that just clawed stuff up. And then,
yeah, it's like if you ever made like pizza dough and you put too much water and not enough flour, it turns into like a soupy, sticky mess. And that can stop the flow through the grain bed.
Yeah, and then it's bad news bears when you have a stuck mash, especially
you
if
just
you're not
have to stir and just keep stirring. And I've literally sat over the mash tun stirring the whole time of the mash because that was the only way I was getting it to circulate.
Are you for an entire hour? You're just
yeah.
Was this on Big Bertha too? So you have a big old.
No, this was actually you normally want to shoot for 1.5 quarts per pound of grain when you're doing recirculation mash. That seems to work best for me. And I had gotten the water to grain ratio a little too low, and it wasn't. And I think I was using some wheat. I was using some of the white wheat we had upstairs. I was trying to do, I think it was when I was doing a kind of a hybrid wheat Pilsner.
I remember that.
It just wasn't circulating. So I just stood over it and stirred it the whole time, and it finally broke up, but it was almost a whole hour. I was able to save the mash by doing that. So it's possible, but when you have a small machine like that, you need space is limited. So you really want to make sure you use a calculator because you may not be able to do a 5-gallon batch based on your recipe and adding rice hulls because you can't have the right water to grain ratio. There's just not enough room for circulation when you have that much grain inside of it.
Yeah. And I would say, and you can correct me if you disagree, I would rather have 4.5 or 4 3/4 of a smooth brew day, smooth process than try to chance it for the sake of that extra volume and have that like if you could go back in time and have rice hulls in there, you'd probably have preferred a little less volume as opposed to manual labor the entire mash, right? Like, I mean, like that just sounds miserable.
That machine, it's kind of hard to do versus kind of what we have here.
Oh yeah.
Because you have like on the Grainfather, it has the false bottom is at the very bottom of the basket, and it has another one at the top. So you have to take that off, turn the pump off, and then you would have to get down and dig down into the grain bed to get to the bottom. With the Grainfather, I don't know if they've changed it now, but that's the first gen that we have. And it's easy to knock that base.
It is.
I've stirred too hard on the bottom because it sets in there with a silicone gasket. I've knocked that out of place and the grain had stopped the pump up. So I had to stop, drain it all out, and then set it all back up and start again. So
no, it is still delicate. Yeah. And thankfully, like when we're stirring at the boil part, right? Like after you're talking about the bottom, false bottom.
Yeah. You've got the basket on the Grainfather, the basket's 2-piece.
Yeah.
You have the tube, and then you have the false bottom with a silicone gasket around it that you have to fit in the bottom. There's a small lip at the bottom of that tube, which comprises the whole the basket assembly. So if you get too vigorous, and plus it has a tube coming up the middle, that's an overflow in case it stops draining through the grain bed, it will at least keep the element wet and it won't burn the element or won't scorch the bottom of because the element's welded to the bottom of the all in one.
Right.
And that gets hot. And, y'all remember that batch I did I can't remember what kind of beer, Roggen beer.
Yeah.
I scorched the wort and it was not drinkable. It absolutely wasn't drinkable.
But still not as bad as the one Kenny and I messed up.
It was the same deal. Yeah, same situation.
Todd, do you remember that, Todd? When it was time, we fermented it, and you were like, we should bottle it and send some to him. But it was so bad, we couldn't do that to anybody. It was absolutely miserable. Todd, you probably use rice holes more frequently than the average bear of this trio because you're brewing more. You're a more versatile brewer, or diverse brewer rather. Like I've gotten a lot of Pilsners, or Kolsch rather, Alt under my belt lately. I'm just now with Trub Club Brew Day Live starting to venture off with my pop to do the recipes that the club is doing. But you've been brewing a bunch and all that. The rice holes, is that something? Do you just have like just get a handful and put it in approach, or do you meticulously calculate to make sure it's a good proportion between holes and your bed?
Yeah, it really depends on the style you're brewing. So I don't think there's a set answer like this is how much you use. I mean, if you're just like, I don't know how much. Do you happen to? You may not know off the top of your head, how much wheat does that recipe have in it?
Ooh, I'd have to pull it up. You keep doing your answer, and I'll pull it up.
Yeah, because if it had a whole bunch of wheat, then yeah, maybe. Or if you've got, you're brewing like something that's just got a ton of grain in it, and you want it to be able to flow. Obviously wheat's one thing. The other one is like, oh gosh, what am I trying to think of? What's the beer that has an incredible amount of alcohol in it?
Like a barley wine?
Barley wine. Thank you. I could not think of barley wine. It's kind of hard to think of barley wine when you're drinking Kolsch.
It's half a pound of white wheat.
Oh yeah. So I don't even know if you would need it for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it with that.
Yeah. You could put a little in there if you want. You were talking about the volume. The volume is going to be a lot more than grain, or, it's going to be more than grain because it weighs virtually nothing.
I get you. I get what you're saying. A pound of rice holes is a lot bigger volume than a pound of two-row.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just the husks of rice. So it's just the outside.
It weighs very little. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that 50-pound bag we have, but it's a lot bigger than a 50-pound bag of grain.
No, I haven't. And my dad went to while we're earlier our listener feedback gave a shout out to a homebrew supply shop in San Antonio. That's the only one left in San Antonio, and there's only one left in Austin, SoCo off South Congress. My dad went up there, which he's probably going to do for this brew day, and pay your $1.15 whatever it cost per pound, and he picked up last time I think 1.5 pounds is what we used, or maybe 2 pounds. We
have plenty at the office too if you ever need it.
We get a lot.
Where? No kidding.
Yeah, it's in that really big bag. It's kind of light brown or tan bag by the wire shelf.
I don't even know if we've opened that bag because we still had some.
Oh my gosh.
Had some when we ordered it.
Oh, I'm gonna have to edit this out because I told my pop I thought we had some, Dad, and I looked everywhere for it. I didn't want to buy, and not this trip, James. It was the last time I was up. I didn't want to bother y'all with it. This was the last brew day we had that he bought some because he was like, y'all don't have any, and I was like, no, Pop, I looked everywhere, and I could not find it. We don't have any, and we have a whole bag, Dad. I am so sorry.
Yeah, it's so big and massive, you probably wouldn't even think that there was anything like that in there.
Thank you for giving me that out, because I swear I looked everywhere I thought it would be, and I couldn't find any. And I was like, okay, well, whatever, no big deal, Dad. Just go to the store. It's right around the corner from his house. I say around the corner. I use these phrases wrong. It's probably 15 miles, Todd. It's not around the corner. But
I was going to say, you said it was in San Antonio. He doesn't live anywhere near San Antonio.
No. SoCo. He goes to SoCo in Austin. I was just saying, San Antonio, as big a city as it is, only has one homebrew supply shop. Austin, as a hipster as the city and as populated as it is, only has one supply shop.
Well, I mean, obviously, Austin Homebrew Supply was really big at one time, and it got bought out. So they still have a website, but it has no presence in Austin at all.
Nothing. It's just SoCo, little bitty thing. I don't want to be doom and gloom. Horst is coming on next week. He could be doom and gloom if we need him to be. But my point being, it's getting depressing trying to find places local to get supplies. But back to Alex's question, because he's using the one with the pump, that's why he's probably worried about a stuck mash, James. I presume. I know this is a dumb question. Just humor me. If you were doing like a cooler brew where there's not going to be recirculation at all going on during the mash, are rice holes even matter at all because of the drainage? Could it still matter, or is it never probably ever needed in a mash day that does not involve recirculation?
Well, I guess if it's not circulating through the grain bed, it wouldn't matter. But that would be good for somebody to answer that does do that kind of all grain brewing.
I say my dad and I never.
I haven't done it enough to ever run into that situation, but I can't imagine why you would need that because you're not circulating through the grain bed.
That's my first thought too. But I had to ask, and also these kinds of people accuse me, mostly Todd, of asking stupid questions, but it does get people commenting to either tell me, yes, Josh, you are stupid, or giving us their opinion and all that in the comments below at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. But if you want to get paid, call it in, leave a voicemail, all that stuff. But Alex from the Rio Grande Valley, that's a great question. And yeah, the gist, treat it like it's part of the grain bill, include it in the calculator. We are living in the best time ever, my friends. So you use a calculator, use Brewer's Friend. They just relaunched the app. We're talking with them about getting them on the show here in the near future. Spoiler. To talk about the app launch and all that. They finally have a decent app on Android. That makes me happy. Their web app was the only thing that I preferred to use, but now they're actually inching closer and closer to a real solid Android experience. Thank you guys for that. But yeah, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. We have calculators. Just utilize the technology we have available at your fingertips and let it do the math for you to tell you, oh, you're using how much rice holes? Okay, here's how it's going to change the rest of your stuff. And then you decide, are you going for volume or are you going for a smooth brew day? And go from there. So Alex, thank you so much for submitting that question. A final reminder, my friends, as we go into the last question, that if you text or email your question, joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com or to 325-305-6107, you're going to get yourself a $15 gift card. Spoiler, if you call that number, you'd get a $25 gift card. But our last question is actually another text to that same phone number, and it's our buddy Mitch. And I wanted to make a point. This is an all Texas episode. When I took all the questions,
I noticed that.
I mentioned that in the notes for the last one because I did the listener feedback and the first two questions. And as I sourced the third one, I was texting him and I saw the 214 area code, and so I was like, "Isn't that Dallas?" Or it's like somewhere north, and it is
Dallas.
I was like, "Hey, go ahead."
Before you start that, y'all are interested. You're interested in Colts, right? You want to know about this?
I hate you.
So it's fascinating to me because I've had two Kolsch's now, and we do Kolsch Cup and we talk about what a Kolsch is. Neither one. I mean, this one does smell like a Kolsch, but not very strong. But it is like I don't know. I don't think this would do well in the Kolsch Cup. It just doesn't have that little bit of fruity flavor we're used to and all of that. But it is a Kolsch. You can't say it's not a Kolsch.
It's a collaboration Kolsch. And Brewdog, look, I won't throw them under the bus. Our old buddy Kenny's loves them. I think they have a brewery headquarters in Ohio, or maybe they used to. I haven't heard great things about their beer, to be fair, but I've never had it.
No, they're in the UK.
I know, but I'm saying I think they have a state U.S. presence in like a big campus in Ohio.
Beer, they're using obviously using a Kolsch yeast because they're using Fru's yeast.
Well, you don't know that. Presumably, you don't know.
No, I talked to the guy.
Oh, no kidding.
It's there. They brewed it at Fru so they could officially call it a Kolsch and say this is a Kolsch because you cannot do that in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Like you cannot call something a Kolsch if it's not brewed in this area.
That's why I'm in America.
It is a Kolsch.
I call it whatever I want when I'm here.
And this is a Kolsch too, and neither one of them would do well in the Kolsch Cup. Although I like it, it's just not exactly what we are used to. You know what? It's not a Peters. It's not a
Fru.
A regular Fru. So it's kind of interesting.
A good brew,
to me.
even a Reisdorf or a Gaffel, any of those would be good. Yeah, you're right. I would like to see if they import that over here, and I'll try it and give it my rule of or my
I don't
my
know
judgment.
If they do. I wish I could bring a couple back. I can't, but I wish I could bring a couple back so I could see y'all go. That's not a Kolsch. I go, yes, it is a Kolsch.
You could see me do that if you just drive me over to Fredericksburg. Hey-o!
Oh, God. Once again, under the bus.
I like it. I like doing that. Anyways, if you're ever in Fredericksburg, friends, go to Fredericksburg Brewing Company. What is the one downtown? Is that what it's called, Todd? James?
Yeah. So you're not dropping, just so everybody knows, you're not dropping them under the bus.
I love their beer.
It's really good.
No, James goes there more than I do. Is it Fredericksburg Brewing? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, the one downtown. And also,
very good.
This was James's recommendation when I went there. A Cuban with their blonde or with their pills. I forget what I had it with, but the Cuban sandwich.
It was a Reuben.
A Reuben, not a Cuban.
So, Reuben and a red beer.
That's what it was.
I don't know for a fact. It's probably, James, wouldn't you say it has to be one of the oldest breweries? Breweries in Texas, because it's been there forever.
Well,
definitely, they're famous for the red beer and also their Peace Pipe Ale, which is a lighter kind of Kolsch style beer.
I parrot what James says now. Go to Fredericksburg Brewing Company, a Reuben and a red, and dude, best lunch ever. And then we went to the Nimitz Museum, which is now the National War Museum.
They redid that a few years back.
Yeah, it's not called Nimitz anymore. It's called, I think, the National Museum for the Pacific.
Yeah, the Pacific War Museum.
Yeah.
It still has Nimitz associated with it, but I don't really like to talk about that. My wife, we got married 25 years ago, and she's still giving me hell for taking her there on our honeymoon. Well,
remember when I was supposed to work that craft beer festival and that goofball canceled the homebrew part the day before? Literally the day before, but I'd already had the Airbnb booked, so I told my wife, I was like, listen, you either would have been sitting at the booth all day with me, you can humor me, let's do the museum. So in contrast, the museum was great for her. Good air conditioning, and it actually is a really good, it's like, literally world-class museum.
Yeah.
So I just looked it up, Fredericksburg Brewing Company. This year is their 30th anniversary because it was founded in 1994.
Okay. So it's not that old.
Well, no, it's ancient for breweries in Texas.
For craft breweries.
Craft breweries in Texas.
Well, when did Spetzel open up? I mean, 1894?
Well, but that doesn't count. I'm talking about little breweries where you can only get it on that location.
I got you. Absolutely. Yeah, that is the bad part. They don't distribute. But that other one in Fredericksburg, I always throw under the bus. They do distribute. And we could
distribute. Yeah.
And it's not my favorite. Anyways, Alex, thank you so much. Like I said, our third final question, which I had already gotten to that part. It was a text message from our buddy Mitch from the DFW area. Mitch wrote in, short and sweet for the Podmasters. What is the worst that could happen if I overpitch yeast? What about underpitch? I bulk bought dry and need to start measuring out before pitching. James, if you bulk buy, how important is it to not just eyeball for it's a handful for 5 gallons? I'm sure there's calculators online, but what happens if you overpitch to a beer? Is it going to be the worst thing in the world, or would you rather underpitch?
Well, I mean, a lot of what you're using, as far as a good example would be wheat beer. If you're doing a Hefeweizen, that yeast, you're using a specific yeast, and it creates esters that make that beer taste the way it tastes. It is possible if you overpitch, you don't give the yeast time to produce those esters. They just go to town, go nuts. Fermentation gets done really fast. It can create other problems as far as taste. I read one article that they were saying that it could actually cause infections because of the fact that there's so much yeast. They're fighting for sugars and fighting to reproduce and make more yeast. And if they run out of sugar too fast and the numbers are big enough, they can start eating themselves, which can cause taste, flavor issues. I think they call it autolysis, where they cannibalize each other. Another thing too with underpitching is if you underpitch it, you can create some lag time for the cell division or when it reproduces. So if you ask Owen which one would be worse, to overpitch or underpitch, he would probably first say which style, and second, he would probably say overpitching is probably worse than underpitching.
How interesting.
And that's pretty much the consensus with just about every article I read about that.
Yeah. And then he'd yell at you for, just use the pouch, Josh. We'll send it to you.
Tell me what you're brewing and I'll send you the correct amount.
That's literally what he tells you. Yeah. Just tell me what you're brewing. I'll give you the right amount. That is what Owen would literally say. Todd, I know what Lalaman old Kolsch would say on the bottom. It would say, it would give you this convoluted thing and you're going to end up pitching 12 of their sachets or whatever.
Yeah, I have overpitched that yeast before.
And I brought it up because what did it do when you overpitched? Could you tell the difference in the end result?
No, but it was fine. But it was the style of beer. I mean,
yeah, it was a light.
It's very clean, and one of the things will happen is it can be very clean. So it didn't hurt it. No, I mean you do get a little bit of a flavor profile, obviously, with that. From the or a lot of flavor profile from the Kolsch yeast, but it didn't seem to affect it badly. The best example, like James said, is a Hefeweizen. When I actually called Owen because I want to brew one for my wife, he was basically saying, "What do you want?" So, does she like the real banana flavor and clove flavor, and how much does she like? And he was like, instead of doing 4 pouches like you would normally do in the 17.5 gallon, he would do 3. So it's not that low, but maybe you do 2 if you really want to really get a lot of those flavors. I mean, the biggest problem with underpitching is that your brew just might stop, right? I mean, your fermentation may stop.
Fermentation.
So, I mean, that's the risk there. The risk with the other is just the flavor. It depends on if the beer, if you're doing a pale ale, I don't know how much it would matter because you don't get a lot of that flavor profile from that. I mean, you wouldn't want to really overpitch it, but if you overpitch it a little, I mean, we tend to overpitch, I would say.
Probably.
The 3 of us.
Yeah. If especially picking one or the other, I mean, I likely am overpitching. Yeah.
But
I tend to overpitch is what I should have said. Yeah.
But we're also brewing, for the most part, most of the beers we brew are lighter beers.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not as heavily dependent on esters to create the profile for the style of beer. We're
totally.
I think
I'm just doing pills.
Yep.
It's hard to really overpitch the way we're doing it. I mean, you've got to put a lot in there to overpitch. I mean, so we're, maybe I'm putting 4 pouches in and it's 17.5 gallons and I was only supposed to put 3.5 pouches in. That's very negligible. I mean, if you put 10 pouches in, it would definitely have a huge effect on it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No.
I mean, how many times have y'all brewed a Kolsch when it was done and finished fermenting? And maybe what's the quickest you've ever had one finished, James?
I've brewed on a Friday and kegged it and had it that next Friday.
Okay.
Carbonated, cold, and kegged. It was finished on a Monday when I got here at work.
That's what I was going to say. You've had it before where it was pretty much done doing any serious fermentation in probably 48 hours, right?
Yeah. So it is literally possible with imperial yeast, fresh yeast, to do our Kolsch recipe and have it in a keg, drinking it in 7 days.
Yeah. And that's you also still bringing down the temperature. Like you could do it even quicker than that if you really wanted to and didn't care about presentation and clarity. but I mean, because when it finished that Monday, you could have just said, "Oh, I'm going to put it in the keg. I'm going to force starve it, and then I'll try it tomorrow after 24 hours of cooling." It would have been very different. But I agree with you. The 7 days is the absolute earliest of it's going to end up being real good. But it probably actually would still be pretty good.
And that's a highly flocculent yeast strain, so it drops out fairly clear on its own naturally without having to use any other kind of filtration.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Yeah, Dieter's my absolute favorite. And at the end of the day, the real answer, I could have just given the very short answer. Whether it's a single pouch or sachet of yeast or your bulk buying, they all have instructions on them I have not seen a bag of yeast, dry or liquid, that didn't have meticulous instructions on usage, temperature, storage, all that stuff. Follow that guideline if you really, that's your safest bet. When we send out recipe kits, whether when we used to at a retail level or for people who are at patreon.com/Homebrew Happy Hour Chub Club, everything in there says refer to the yeast pouch for the instructions on when it comes time to pitch in regards to, because people go, do I need to warm it up? Do I need to do a starter, this or that? There's not like a one answer thing that covers every single strain of yeast or whatever. So we just say refer to the manufacturer's notes. Like, that's the safest answer for us, but also it's the best answer because they all have, let them guide you on how to use their yeast. So if it's a big bulk bag of Fermentis, which I think is what Mitch ended up telling me, I'm telling you, Fermentis puts pretty good instructions on their dry yeast. So you can just follow that. But again, in the same breath, like we've been given Lala Man crap, which they're not making the Kolsch strain anyway, so they deserve all this crap. But their instructions were probably off, and they, instead of correcting the instructions, they just got rid of the strain. So I don't know if their other strains have that kind of like over pitching or what leads to over pitching, but always follow it, or follow online calculators, or just do whatever you want. You're an adult. It's 2024. Do whatever you want. I don't care. But Mitch, thank you so much for submitting the question to wrap up our all Texas episode 393 of the Homebrew Happy Hour. My friends, I appreciate y'all's time. Todd, when are you heading back? Are you on a flight tomorrow or Friday?
No, I have to go to London and spend the night and then fly home. So it was like, it was a huge difference in price if I just came back. A couple $1,000s actually.
Hoo-wee.
Yeah, it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. Like, I ended up getting a ticket for around the $1,500 range. And if I would have come back, like if I was going to fly back today, which is what I wanted to do, it was going to be $3,500.
Oh my gosh. Internet flying's ridiculous.
It has to do with, for some reason, they really hurt you if you don't stay at least 6 nights, I guess. or right now at this time.
The EU's punishing you for not wanting to a short.
Well, no, it's American Airlines, I think is.
Oh, right, that's right.
But yeah. I think they all do that. It has something. My guess is that what it is that business travelers that are high level business travelers, they like to come and they like to go to a meeting and then come back and they're like, well, those guys can afford it, so we'll ding them.
Yeah.
So I can't afford it, so yeah. It could be worse.
I say they don't know Todd Burns though.
Yeah.
Well, safe travels to you, James. I sincerely appreciate your time. I know.
I got to go ship, man.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate
it's almost 9 o'clock here.
Yeah, go to bed, old man. Y'all have a good day.
I haven't eaten dinner yet. I'm going to go get another Kolsch.
Oh, I hate you.
Kolsch. And I'm going to get dinner.
Send me photos. Y'all have a good day. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, call it in, be our best friend by leaving a voicemail at 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsors like Muntons Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Muntons, give them a try by joining the Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial Yeast along with delicious recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/Homebrew Happy Hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.